Okay, so let's take a look at what pipStat is doing, some of its features, how it works, answer all those questions. This is where I'll give you a chance to jump in and ask some questions. So when you load it up, you're going to notice that you'll have one chart. If you use the template, what you'll do is you'll open up a chart, you'll right-click on the chart, you'll go to Template pipStat, and when you do that, you end up with this. So you do not want to attach it to your chart where you already have your indicators running and your everything else. It'll mess it all up. So you're going to want to get a brand new clean chart. Any pair doesn't really matter. You don't need to put it on a pair that you're going to trade on even. And you only need to do this once. Don't do this for every currency pair that you're going to trade. So one instance, get it up, it'll launch the window for you. And the first window that'll come up will actually have a new button on it. Let's see if we can, I've got a couple of these already launched. Okay, so here's the one you'll see. I'll just minimize these others. So it'll open up, it'll probably default to the euro, so it should do it, even if you have your template attached to the pound or whatever other currency, it'll open up on the euro. So once you've done that, before you do that, I should have told you guys one thing you need to check is Tools, go up to Tools, Options, Server. You're going to want to verify that you have Enable DDE, so your server checked. Make sure that's checked. It's at Tools, Options, then click the Server tab. And then make sure that's checked, click OK, and then you'll need to restart your platform if it was not checked. After you do that, then you can attach this. And if that does not bring up pipStat for some reason, there's a link. I'll have to see if we have it in the members area. We can even post it in here for you guys. So take note of this. This is a link to get the C++. It's a library that's required for it to work. Very easy, small, and it's not going to do anything, slow down your computer or anything. So you'll need to make sure you have that. That's really the only technical issues you should see is you don't have DDE server enabled or you don't have this library, MFC library. So now the link is in the chat. You might want to copy and paste that, save it in a notepad somewhere, or just go and hit that page now and then you can download it later. Make sure you have that installed, make sure you have DDE enabled, and you won't have any trouble. This should come right up, and then you're ready to go. Now, let me go ahead and show you. You can minimize this chart, just get it out of your way, open up your charts that you trade on, and now this is not attached to any particular chart. You can have, I've got a whole bunch of different charts here. It doesn't matter how many charts you have up, it's not tied to any one of them. The only thing it's tied to is its currency, which you specify in options here. You tell it what currency it should be attached to, and then the unique ID. And the unique ID is used to tell it which trades should be grouped together for calculations and for scaling out and scaling in, which orders to show. Everything will be tied to that ID. So if you have a particular strategy, maybe we go back to your day trading, something based on breakouts, and your breakouts can still be price action based. You'll have some of this new trading strategy as we get into the other sessions, workshop sessions. But whatever it is, you'll come in and specify that ID. Now, if you're trading a different currency, that currency itself is going to have its own calculations. Its own orders are going to show up in scaling and scaling out. Everything will be independent by currency regardless of what unique ID you have here. So if I use the same unique ID on 5 different currencies, that doesn't really matter because they're all still going to be independent. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that it's independent of pair and unique ID? So if you're going to trade a strategy where the stops are much different than they are with another one, you'll want to use a different unique ID here. Okay, everybody seems to get that. Okay, so that's what unique ID and pair here are for, and then you've got your time frame. Now, the time frame is used for how many bars after the trade is closed to measure, to watch the market for you, as if you were to have stayed in the trade. Keep watching price so it can determine some of these calculations of stop, target, and lot size, what would be ideal. So if you're trading on a 15-minute chart, you're going to want to put it on 15 minutes. If you trade on multiple time frames, that's not a problem. You just need to know that, how many minutes, basically, after you close a trade do you want it to continue to monitor. So say I trade the 5-minute, hour, and 15-minute charts. I use them all. And I take trades and I close them out. Maybe I'm taking trades and every couple hours I'm closing them. I probably want to have it monitor trades several hours after I close them in that example. So I would just type, maybe I'd switch this to the hour and put in 5 hours. Or you can leave it, you could leave it on the minute. You just have to calculate it out in hours, but it's easier just to switch it. I want it to monitor maybe 8 hours after I close my trade, keep watching price, and continue to monitor as if I was in the trade, and come up with an ideal stop and target using our formula. So that's what this is for. It doesn't really mean anything as far as what time frame you're trading on. It's just for that. Does everybody understand that? We could have probably done this differently, and maybe there'll be an update that makes it make a little more sense. But if you're trading, let me show you the other side now. If you are trading like on the 5-minute chart, and you're getting into and out of trades every 15 to 20 minutes, you're a lot more active, then you don't want it to watch for 8 hours. That's going to be too much. You're going to want to probably watch for, 5-minute chart, 5 bars would be 25 minutes. So after you close the trade, maybe have it watch for 20 or 30 minutes after. And it'll start to pick things up. Now you might have to play around with this, but it just comes down to how much time after you close a trade is really needed, is really necessary for it to watch before cutting things off and running our calculation and our formula. Was there a number of bars that would be considered too many? Yeah, I would say if you're day trading, there's never going to really be a time where you need it to watch more than probably 12 hours. I don't see why you would really, a day trader is not going to hold a trade longer than probably that. So that's what kind of, if you're trying to figure out the ideal number, look at it as the average number of minutes or hours that you would hold a trade and have it watch that. And maybe add a little bit of a buffer onto that, because you might be closing things out too prematurely. So let's say as a general rule, you could take the number, the average amount of time you're holding positions and times it by 2. That's probably the threshold, the maximum you'd want to use. Okay, so now the next number here, trades to analyze. This is the number we use for the average, for averaging things. The smaller number you use, the more it's going to react to the immediate, what's recently been happening versus the long term. So really, the bigger the number, I wouldn't say the biggest number is going to be the best, but you don't want the number to be really less than, I'd say, 3, and you probably wouldn't want it to be more than maybe, unless you're a really highly active trader, you probably aren't going to need it to be more than 30 or 40. So, but that'll be, you'll see when it starts trading, it starts off with minimal lot sizes. It doesn't use this, what it's going to do is not calculate, it's going to use your initial stop, we'll cover that next, but it's going to use your initial values, and everything will stay up to you until after this number of trades have been reached. So after you've taken 5 trades in this example, then it starts using its own calculations. So if you want to get things started while you're testing, you could jump that down to 2 if you'd like, change some of this up, but you're probably going to want to not go less than maybe 3 or 5 even, the defaults that we have. So it's going to analyze those trades, and that's what it's using to help make some of these calculations as well. Now after it's taken trades, you can still manipulate these and see how it changes these values and kind of fine-tune things for your particular setup. So then here's that part that I was talking about, the initial stop and target. This is for when you haven't reached this number yet of trades to analyze. So if you haven't taken 5 trades yet with pipStat or however many you specify here, it will use these default values for your stop and target and your calculation of your lot size. And your lot size calculation, these are in pips by the way, 30 pips of course. Your risk percent is what helps determine your lot size calculation. So on each trade, you tell it how much you're willing to risk. 2% is the default. If you want to be more aggressive, you could increase that, or less, you decrease it. It'll calculate that based on your stop loss. So say I have $1,000, I want to risk 2%. That's going to be $20. Now it's going to take $20 and break it up by my stop loss, which my initial here is 30. So it's going to take 20 divided by 30, and then divide that by, if you're using standard lots, mini lot, micro lot, figures that out and risks 2% based on that stop. So after 5 trades go by, the same type of thing is happening with our calculation. And of course, there's a lot that goes into this formula to be able to take something random like I showed you guys and make it profitable. But you guys don't need to understand all of that. You just need to know how to use these parameters. And does anybody have any questions about those? We do have some questions about, let's see, can you change your stop in an active trade by changing the initial stop figure? Yeah, you don't have to come change initial. I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. But if you don't agree with what pipStat comes up with, or you don't want your initial stop, say you haven't taken 5 trades yet, you don't have to come in here and change it. You can actually just change it right here. You'll be able to change the stop right on the control. I'll show you that here in just a minute, though. So I don't think anybody else really has any. Doesn't look like there's any questions on these. So if you do find yourself confused on any of these, you can get in touch with us or bring it up in the next session. Also, will that also move your stop mid-trade? No, that will not. Once you've executed the trade, you will have to modify it from the order itself. We are working on several more features, guys. Things like being able to pop up a chart right from within pipStat, have its own chart that allows you to click where you want your stop to target and have it instantly put those values there, like a modify order function. I think that's going to be really awesome when that's done. I have a lot of requests for that, to be able to modify within pipStat. Just something that makes perfect sense to add. So yeah, we're working on that feature. So, yeah, something similar to how DDSMM worked, but I think it'll be even 5 times better than that, even easier and more faster. It's going to be all within the pipStat window. You're going to be able to click it, pops up, click where you want it, click where you want it, done. It puts it in, and you don't have to double click a line and move it and then click a modify button. You'll just be able to point and click and it'll do it. Okay, so let's see. That's the inputs. You've got a few more now here on the right. Trailing stop, very straightforward trailing stop. You tell it when to activate, what level of pips of profit. So if you reach that certain level, maybe it's 10 pips. Once you're up 10, then you have the second parameter, trailing stop away from price pips. So how far away from the price do you want to trail it? So once you're up 10, activate. Then follow it maybe by 5. So it's going to move 5 pips away from price. So in this case, you're up 10. It's going to move it to 5 pips away from the current price. That basically means you're going to move it to plus 5. If you move it to 10, that means you've moved it to 0, right? You're up 10. You say move it 10 pips away from the current price. You're at 0. Now if the price moves to 11 pips, 12, 13, it's going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a very basic trailing stop, but it does help a lot when you want to capture or lock in profit at a certain level and have it do it automatically. Or you step away and you want it to, in case something takes off and you're not there. It's probably not going to be the most perfect way to manage your exit, but at least it's something that is hands-free, that can step in there and do it for you, or even just move your stop to a certain level when a certain price level is reached. Can you put in a trailing stop after your trade? You're in a trade, or does it have to be set up before entering? No, you can do this after. Once you have trades open, at any time you can come in and change this and modify these settings. And it'll affect those trades that you already have open. Oh, I got to show you a few more things here on the inputs. So you have copy pipStat history. Right in the early stages of pipStat, we had requests for, after building all this data and taking all these trades and making all these execution spread calculations and this formula that's been doing all this work. Say you've been trading on a demo and now you want to go to live. Rather than losing all of that history, or maybe even just switching from one broker account to another, rather than losing all of that, you can copy it. You can click Copy pipStat Account History, and if you have another account up here, so you have your second account, you'll bring it up, you'll tell it what account to copy it to. And it'll copy all of your data from all currency pairs, everything, over to the other account. So that's something we had a lot of requests for. And then you got your always on top. That's so that it floats on top and it doesn't go behind when you're trading. That way you don't lose track of where it's at. So that's all the inputs, and then you have the functions here. I'm going to cover those now. This is all pretty straightforward. All of the complicated stuff's being done in the background, and let's just show you how this works. So here, of course, is your take profit and stop loss. If it's been less than the number of trades that you told it's required, it'll be your initial values. And those initial values, they start off at whatever you put in. You can still click here and change those and take your trade. Now what will happen is if you change them, say it's 2 and 10, and I change this to 5 and 10. When I take my trade, right after I click that button, it'll jump back to 2. That way you always know what the original was or what the pipStat calculated values were. And that's for both stop and target. And then you're going to see that there are minimums for the calculations of 2 for target, 5 for stop. It's never going to make sense to really use anything less than that. Even that's pretty tight on the market. You have to be pretty, you have to be a scalper where you're really just digging in there for 1 or 2 pips. But I don't think anybody's really doing that. Okay, so that's that part. Up here you've got scaling in and scaling out. Now this is when you have positions open. You'll see in scaling out, when you click that, I have a few trades open, so it's allowing it. But if you don't have a trade open, this won't do anything because you have no positions to scale out of. When you do, as you can see, I've got a euro or a pound-dollar trade right here. I've got a mini lot in there, and I can select that order. Its ticket number is right here. If there was more than one, I'd say all if I wanted to scale out of all of them. And then you just specify the percentage that you want to scale out. Now, you'll notice, if I switch back to that ticket, I only have a mini lot, and my brokerage will not allow me to trade with less than a mini lot at a time at this one, this particular setup. If you have a broker that allows 0.01, then this would say fine, you can close 0.05. That's 50%. But since I can't do that, it's telling me I have to close it all. So that's not a bug. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to tell you this is what you have to do if you want to close out your trade, part of your trade. Now, you can also use this for closing positions. Scaling out is used for both scaling and entirely closing positions. You can change that to 100%, and that's how you close entire trades out. And you can do that for all tickets that are based on that pair. It goes back to that unique ID and pair. Only those tickets will show up in here. You can see I have 3 trades open, but only 1 shows up in here because it's the pound-dollar and it's that particular unique ID. We had a question that's coming up about that, moving a stop to break even after you are up some of the pips. Yeah, George, that's what this trailing stop can do as well. You can say once I'm up that first number, 15, 20 pips, move my stop to 0. You just leave it at 0. But keep in mind, it will continue to follow the price. So it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll keep climbing. You'd have to go back in and turn it off after it does that. And there's something we talked about adding there where it could just be move it once only, so then it acts more as a true move to break even, and that's it. But that would be a feature down the road. So scaling out, I think that's pretty straightforward. I just wanted to show you how that looks. And then scaling in, if you notice down here, it's calculated my lot size right here in the middle. This is your lot size calculation. If I tell it I want to scale in, I'm telling it I don't want to enter that whole entire position. I want to enter it in pieces until all of my entry levels have been met, or I want to wait till the market pulls against me, or as it moves into profit and gives me more confidence in the trade. That's what this is for. So you saw it was 0.98. It cuts it in half of 50. 10% brings it down to your minimum lot size. If it stops at a certain level and you can't go below that, it's because that's what your broker's minimum lot size is. See, I go to 25, it shows up 0.24, go back to 100. You can even trade more than what pipStat is saying, or scale in at more aggressively. You can change that to 200%. So you can use scaling in to do that, and you can also even just manipulate the lot size itself here by changing it. If you don't like what it comes up with, you can change it manually. And again, after you've placed the trade, it will change back to the calculated value, so you always know what that was. Everybody up to speed with what I've covered so far? We've got a few more things, then we've pretty much gone over everything about the tool. US CAD trades I placed today ended up, looks like you got an incorrect stop and target. We'll have to take a look at that for you, Andy. I know we do have an update we found with yen pairs causing some issues, and we're working on finding out what's causing that and getting an update out. We're hoping to have it before for our beta session that we have Thursday. But keep an eye out for those updates. But we'll have to take a look at that. Anybody else, if you have any technical issues, make sure to bring them up to us. Don't just assume it's supposed to be doing that. We want to make sure we're getting any issues taken care of. So everybody seems to be up to speed. Let me cover the last couple features here. The new button, of course, opens up a new window. Interference. Give me just 1 minute. Okay, so here we have execution spread. This part, what this is telling you is when you open positions, the first number is the spread average when you open trades. This information helps you because it tells you if you're having trouble with your broker or if you're getting the fills that you expected. The broker will show you one particular spread. You might be trading with a broker where they say we guarantee a 1 pip spread or 2 pip spread. But every time you take trades, the calculation's saying it's 4 or 5. You want to be aware of that and know that you need to ask your brokers what's going on or look to try out a different brokerage. If it says NAN, that's because it hasn't collected any data yet. You haven't taken any trades with it, so it doesn't have any values. If you have taken trades, it probably comes back to that issue we had brought up where the stop was calculated incorrectly. And what you might want to do is just restart the platform until we take a look at that. Like I said, we have an update will be coming out to solve some of these little glitches that are coming about here and there. The second number is when you close trades. You also want to know what your average spreads are when you go to close, so you can see if there's any kind of problems there where you're, for some reason, you're not getting when you have a certain profit and you go to close, you're not getting the profits you expected. Okay, the middle number here, this is the current spread between the bid and ask. And in one of our upcoming sessions, we're going to get into, give you a little idea of what something we're going to be covering is the truth behind, but what's really creating the spread. What does the spread mean? So I think some of you might already get that, but I think we'll spend a little bit of time on that. But anyways, that's just showing you the bid and the ask. Difference is 2.3 pips. And let me just point out too, everything we calculate in pips here is not based on that 10th. It's based on the whole number of pips before they added the 10th to the broker platforms, the 5th digit or the 3rd if you're looking at yen. Everything's based on 2nd and 4th digits. So just everybody should understand that. Most of you said you've been trading for a few years, so I'm sure you're up to speed on that. But next thing you got here, pip factor. This number tells you the reliability of your system. Basically tells you the potential. If that number is staying solid and not heading towards 0 all the time, then you should keep doing what you're doing and not really change focus and keep setting your targets where you're placing them, exit where you're exiting, taking trades the way you are. The idea here is that a lot of traders give up too soon. They think that because they've had a few bad trades, they're doing something wrong and they need to make changes and adjustments. And if the pip factor is still solid and not really heading down, or it'd be probably nice if we had a curve that could show the history if it's going up or going down. But you have to keep an eye on this. It might be a feature down the road. Just keep an eye on this number. If it's staying neutral or increasing, then you're doing well. If it's decreasing aggressively, you might want to make some changes to your strategy. Okay, and then the price, of course, is on the buttons here. You just click these to enter your position, and everything will take place automatically. So if I wanted to change my stop loss from what it's calculating here, you can see my lot size down here instantly changes as well. It knows I need to trade a smaller trading size with a bigger stop. That's why when we showed you guys if you came to one of our webinars about pipStat, is that how important the stop loss really is. If it's determining your lot size and how much you're going to make or lose on a trade, it has a huge effect here. Now, the smaller the stop, the larger the lot size, which means the more profit I'll make when I hit my target. So that's the key here, is getting your stops as tight as possible while not hurting your win rate, keeping that up as well. So I can click a buy trade in. You can see it throws the trade in 0.39 as I told it. Lot size goes back. Everything goes back like I told you to the calculated values. Now here I can do the, I can use scaling out. I've got 0.39. So on this trade, it actually says I can close 0.2 of 0.39. And there you go. I closed out 0.2. I'm left with 0.19.